Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Really Big BBQ Central Show. The show that happens to talk about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. Originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. It is the barbecue capital of the North Coast. And I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you. If you want to get in touch with the show this evening, it's a phone call, 216-220-0966. If you would rather forego the phone calling and go email route, this is how you get in touch with me that way.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to greg@bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Thank you very much, David Lee. And if you want to find out about anything that has to do with the show other than the information that I just told you, hit the website, thebbqcentralshow.com, and see what's happening. And talking about what's happening, here's what's happening on the show. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, it is the third Tuesday of the month, and that, of course, means bringing a visit from the most prolific barbecue and grilling live fire author we have ever seen in our lifetime. Millions upon millions of copies sold. Tens of millions, dare I say hundreds of millions of copies sold. He is also a cooking class instructor. He is also a TV show host. He is also a barbecue Hall of Famer. Stephen Raichlen will be joining us. We're going to be talking about a myriad of topics. It's not kind of the standard fare. Certainly we'll get some updates as he is starting his book tour in support of Project Fire, I believe tomorrow in Coral Gables or somewhere along that area in Florida. And we will talk to him a little bit about that and some of the upcoming tour stops in case you're going to be in his general area and you want to stop by, grab a copy of that book, get a picture, get an autograph, talk some shop with Steve. That would be great. Then after Steven, we will be talking with also third Tuesday of the month regular guest as he is becoming one of the co-founders of the Steak Cook-Off Association. Brett Gallaway will be joining me. SCA continues to grow leaps and bounds, continuing to have great ambassadors, great competitors who love to spread word of mouth. So we'll be talking to Brett about some of the highlighted contests that have taken place since the last time we visited with him last month. And we'll also take a look ahead at some of those key events that'll be taking place over the next handful of weeks before we meet with him again in June. Also, I got a lot of email asking about World Food Championship tie-in, and can we recover that? Entry fees, how you qualify, how you get registered, what's it all entailing in regards to payout, and how does it differ from the Steak Cook-Off Association at World Food Championships? And then if you are a steak cook that makes it into that final 10, will there be different judging, all that stuff? So Brett will be available 35 past the hour to go over all of that. Then we'll move into the second hour. And by the way, maybe it's the first major of the year coming up as it relates to barbecue and grilling, specifically barbecue, and ultra specifically Memphis, right? This weekend, and people are starting to load in maybe today, certainly beginning tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be a mega event. If you've never been there like me, it's certainly a bucket list item as it relates to some competition barbecue stuff. But the Memphis in May 2018 rendition will be coming off this coming weekend and helping me hype it up and talking about her chances of nabbing perhaps a third overall grand championship and, believe it or not, a sixth world title in whole hog. None other than Melissa Cookston from Yazoo's Delta Q, also a co-owner of Memphis Barbecue Company, Steak by Melissa. A lot of great stuff going on with her. Been a minute since we have caught up and talked about pretty much all things that relate to barbecue. A number of my conversations have focused around competition with Melissa in the past, so certainly we're going to do that. We're going to be talking about the Barbecue Central show Karma because, believe it or not, this segment with Melissa was booked a year in advance. She might be, if not the biggest, one of the biggest proponents of the show Karma, and loves to get all of the good vibes and the juju and all that other stuff headed her way as she gets to those big events that they take part in. And certainly she wanted to make a stop in here, wanted to make sure that her spot wasn't going to get taken. So 12 months ago, we booked this date. And here it is. So we'll catch up with Melissa, see what she's up to, and most importantly, talk about her chances of nabbing that third overall world title at this weekend's Memphis in May. So there you have it. Melissa Cookston in the second hour, Brett Gallaway and Stephen Raichlen in your first hour. If you are podcasting right now, please go ahead and hit pause. Go ahead and give me a rate and review. Certainly 5 stars would be great, but whatever you think is fitting, I am more than happy to take that. Go to your iOS, go to your Android device, and rate and review the show. Not only does that give me some kind of feedback, but it also promotes visibility in your particular platform that might help others discover the show, because that's what we want to do, impress and promote the good word of barbecue and grilling, no matter how that happens. So give me a rate, give me a review. Would certainly appreciate that. Also, I wanted to get this piece of housekeeping out of the way. Handful of weeks ago, I believe it was middle of March, I had a cache of freshly minted Barbecue Central Show t-shirts like the one you see I'm wearing right now if you're watching on the video feed. And we're pretty much sold out of everything at this point. We have a very limited number of medium shirts. That's adult mediums. So if you're not a big old fat ass and you're kind of a normal-sized human and you felt left out, somehow I actually did order medium shirts. They run a little big, super soft, tri-blend material, so they're going to last a long time. They're not going to wear out as you wash them. So I got some medium shirts at $24, plus that includes priority shipping. It's not an addition. And then, of course, I do have the 4XL $27 shirt. That includes priority mail shipping as well. And again, very limited numbers of both. And once we're done with those, we'll be done with those for a while. Quickly, I've realized that t-shirts are really good as far as getting the brand out there, but that's about it, if you know what I mean. So if you're interested, if you know somebody that's a medium adult shirt size, go ahead and hit up the website under the product section. I believe I've corrected it properly to only have medium and 4XL shirts available at this point. Now, if you want to go to Amazon.com, like through my link on the top of the website, and then in the search bar, put the BBQ Central Show. There's other shirts there on Amazon that you have access to. You have a similarly themed logo on a high-quality t-shirt there through Amazon. That takes up more of the shirt. I got to kind of adjust that down. So if you're into like the big logo taking over the whole kind of shirt, that might be one that you're interested. Also, the one that my cousin Scott made that's got that red and white kind of font in there. Certainly unique and way different from the official show shirt, but if you're into that kind of thing. And then, of course, the 2018 horse meat t-shirt, which is selling like hotcakes on Amazon. Supplies I haven't been contacted to say, hey, what's with the horse meat shirt? How come that's selling better than the rest of your shirts? I don't know. Because horse meat 2018 is still a real thing, just like it was in 2017. That's why Amazon regards your humble host. Hey, maybe you're new to the show and you don't know what the rules are of the show. Let me help you out. Rule number 1, no names, please. No names. Rule number 2, and one to live by, don't get hooked. Don't get hooked. Rule number 3, if it's free, it's me. Damn right. 3 might be the most important rule of them all. Rule number 4, if the meat is good, something good is going to happen. That's right. And to round out the first 5 rules of the show, don't snappy snap on the Snapchat. Now, that is a rule to live by. But please, no names, please, and do not get hooked. Kind of the real ones you can apply to all day, everyday life. It's free, it's me, I guess, too. I don't know if you're down with the Snapchat or not. Don't snappy snap on the Snapchat. Kinger's in. What's up, Kinger? If time allows, Kinger forwarded me that gold wing, 24 karat gold laced wings that I talked about last week. I have a video of that. We may or may not get to that in the second hour. Before we get to Stephen Raichlen, I want to talk to you quickly about the Barbecue Guru. They always believe that outdoor cooking should be easy. You know why? Because it can be, especially with the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition Grill. The Monolith is the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan. That means smarter control and greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easily choose your cooking time and temperature and let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or a barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill, and you can serve the tastiest, juiciest of meals each and every time. You call them 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU, or you visit them online at bbqguru.com. If you have any questions, don't guess. Call them and ask. They will make sure you're outfitted with exactly what you need to get you up and running right out of the box. Now, in regards to this Monolith Guru Edition grill, if you already have a Barbecue Guru controller, you don't have to buy a new controller with this Monolith grill. Just hook up the controller right to the power draft fan. You're off and running. Super simple. Don't forget the rib ring, too. It's $50. You can triple the capacity of most ceramic cookers, large and extra large. It also fits in my Lang 36, so if you have a decent-sized offset cooker and you want to increase your rib capacity there, it could work. Also, I could probably get 2 rib rings, so I'm going to have to do the quick math on that this coming weekend if I have the time. But in any event, if you want the Monolith, if you want new power draft controllers, if you want the grill that has the control fan built in, you go to bbqguru.com or you call 800-288-GURU. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. Stephen Raichlen out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, this portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, and grilling oils. All of the Butcher Barbecue products have been tested on the competition circuit as well as in the backyard. To be the pitmaster of your neighborhood or the king of your cul-de-sac, all you have to do is head on over to butcherbbq.com and stock up now. Always trust your butcher. My first guest this evening can be seen here the third Tuesday of each and every month. Uh-oh. Now I gotta go back and check. Crap. See, you try and get ahead of things, and let's see. That's the one right there. All right. Let me get back to my open then. Can be found here on the third Tuesday of this month, a 2015 Barbecue Hall of Fame inductee, a TV show host, a barbecue cooking class instructor, of course, one of the most prolific live-fire cooking authors you will ever find here on this wide-ranging earth of ours, and the new author of Project Fire, Let's go ahead and race to the hotline and welcome back Stephen Raichlen to the show.
Please leave your name, number, and a couple
All
times I can
right.
reach you, and I'll call you back as soon as I can. Thank
All
you.
right. Now, Stephen. If somebody... Rule number 1 of the show is now instituted, but somebody, no names please, could have jinxed me. Somebody could have jinxed me about 3 or 4 hours ago. I would hate that to be the case. Now I got to let the phone ring. That's so unprofessional. I hate that. Hopefully calling back shows, hey, remember our conversation? I'll have to give him the call.
Stephen Raichlen.
Hey, Stephen, this is Greg.
Good. Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. We all right?
We are on tonight. Just give me 1 minute. I got to find a quiet place. Hang on.
All right. You're not at the dog races, are you?
I am right here. I am sorry. Okay, good. I'm in a great place right now.
All right. Stephen Reichlen's here, as always, third Tuesday of the month. BBQBible.com, certainly his website if you want to check that out here while we're talking. Stephen, the book Project Fire and the tour kicks off, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow, Coral Gables, and you'll be traveling around to various locations across the country to promote and sign that book. And we've talked about book writing with you before on this show. We've kind of pulled back that curtain. But out of all of the books that you have done, is there one that stands out to you as being the most difficult to write? Certainly you're somebody that likes to put pen to paper and pound these things out, but have one of them been more of a labor than love?
I would say they all labors of love, but I would say, Planet Barbecue was definitely the hardest one to write. And it was the hardest one to write because, it involved travel to 60 countries, which was wonderful, but logistics were complicated. It was a big book. It was almost a 100-page book. There were multiple lines of narrative that were...
Hey, Stephen, Stephen, let me interrupt just for 1 second. Can I try calling you back? The signal's a little jumbled here.
Of course, yeah.
All right,
great.
Hold on 1 second. I will try again. If I can't understand 90% of the phone call, I'm going to try again. Oh, yeah. Hopefully he's licking his finger and sticking it out the window for good reception, too. Let's see what happens this time. Otherwise, it's off. It's over, Johnny.
Hi, Greg. Is that better?
Yes, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, good.
All right.
Anyway, I was talking about, Planet Barbecue. You asked me the hardest book to write, and it was just, it was endurance. It was physically grueling. It was a lot of material to cover and keep straight. But when I look back on the books I've written, it's also the book, in a funny way, I'm most proud of, and that had the deepest meaning for me. So sometimes you just the books that take the most out of you bring you the most reward.
When you're writing a book like that, which I guess could widely be considered some type of a fairly decent reference material, do you feel a certain pressure or a certain weight on your shoulders as you're constructing this? Or are you just going through and saying, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, and now I'm just going to replicate this into book form and read what I found?
Oh, no. I mean, I feel certainly like every time you go to write, you're looking at a blank page and, you wonder, will I be able to pull this off, find interesting things to say? I think, I have learned over the years I know I can write a book now. I know what's involved, but there's always an element. Am I going to be able to tell the story in a fresh way, in a way I want, get the message across? And that remains as challenging now as it did 20 years ago.
Stephen Raichlen on the show. Stephen, while you're out on the road here over the next handful of months and so forth, supporting the new book Project Fire, undoubtedly you probably have some downtime that might involve some TV. Are there programs that you go out of your way to watch? For instance, I'm kind of a big fan of that current Anthony Bourdain series, Parts Unknown. Do you watch that show, or are there other shows that you kind of search out in downtime?
It's funny. I do watch Bourdain. I think his shows are terrific, and I love Parts Unknown. But in general, making TV, and this year, between the Italian show and the new Project Fire show, I spent a lot of time on the set and in the studio. Kind of in my off time, I like to do something totally different. I love literature and fiction. I read. I love biking. I love movies, but my movies don't tend to be about my work. They tend to be about something else.
Are you a fairly physically fit, physically active guy? I think from a very poor stereotypical sense, if you're lumped into this barbecue and grilling culture like we all are, there can be a tendency to attach, overeating, fat dudes, unhealthy lifestyles, all that stuff. Are you kind of the opposite of that?
I think I'm the opposite of that. Yeah. In a normal life, I every morning between 6 and 7 a.m. I do a 5-mile bike ride. I try and eat healthily. It's a little harder when you're on book tour. It was a Starbucks oatmeal for breakfast and a pulled pork sandwich for dinner tonight. But in general, I'd say my diet is, my diet's pretty healthy.
All right, so Memorial Day will be here before we know it, and along with that brings the start of the new Project Fire TV show that we've been talking about the last couple months, kind of building into that. Let's dig into that just for 1 second. What's the worst equipment failure you and your crew have had maneuvering through while filming on this episode?
We had one grill that by a little freak of assembly at the factory had some wires reversed. Industrial accident that have happened to anybody. And it was going into a weekend. We couldn't get a technician. We couldn't get it working. But I think the biggest challenge this year was not a piece of equipment. It was the weather. It was bitterly, bitterly cold when we taped. I think probably 10 to 15 degrees colder than normal. And if you watch me on the show, I'm in a long sleeve shirt. I'm in a light sweater. I'm trying to look like it's summertime because that's when the show airs. If, on the other hand, when you see the behind the scenes, you'll see all of our staff. They're in parkas. They got wool hats. We have our morning meeting, and you can see the breath condensing. And that was really the toughest. That was the toughest part of the show. And I remember last night we went late. We went till midnight. 12:30 in the morning. It was maybe in the 20s. We were all outdoors. It was night trying to do this. That was really tough.
Steven, you're a Barbecue Hall of Famer, 2015 inductee, as I kind of mentioned at the top every third Tuesday when we have you on. A couple weeks ago, I had another Barbecue Hall of Famer by the name of Ray Lampe. We were talking about the upcoming ceremony, and I always love to kind of go back and forth with him on a few things. And then I don't know exactly who I got it from, but I got a list of I guess it would be the final list of nominees that could. So out of a list, I believe, of 8, there would be 3 of those people that'll end up getting picked to go in to be the class of 2018 this year. And so I had forwarded you that list, the likes of a Tootsie Tominance of Snows, Tuffy Stone, Jamie Geer, Columbus Hill, Karen Putman, Rodney Scott, C.B. Stubblefield, Helen Turner, Charlie Virgos. Do any of those names stand? I mean, certainly, and I have to admit, last week I didn't know who 4 of them were. I've since done my due diligence and kind of realized who they are at this point. But do any of those list participants stand out from a top 3 standpoint, ones that you would say, yeah, these 3 should be going in this year for no other reason than that's what you think?
They all stand out. They're all worthy in their own ways. If I were to pick, I probably would pick Tootsie, if for no other reason that Tootsie's in her 80s now, and many of the other people are younger and have have their whole lifetimes to make it. But it's I would not want to be in that position to judge because everybody is so immensely qualified.
Do you have any idea how that whole judging process goes down by chance? Or like when you made it in 2015, they just alerted you to say, hey, you were a finalist and ultimately you got picked, and oh, by the way, show up at the American Royal and get the ceremony and get your rib rack and all that other stuff?
I imagine it's done by ballot, and I wasn't notified that I was a finalist. I just was notified that I was an inductee. And I remember the announcement came on this little sort of suede, like almost a suede scroll. That was a very exciting moment for me.
Stephen, a few different times during our conversations, we've touched on that subject of dry-aged beef, and for whatever reason, certainly I know about it. As I've said, we've talked about it a little bit. I've talked with some other guests here and there, but maybe I missed the trend that 2018 was going to be an uptick in the interest of dry-aging beef at home just by the normal backyard warriors. Are you seeing that more and more as a trend in the backyard?
Boy, am I ever. It's a super big trend. And what's interesting, that's consistently one of our most visited blogs, even though we wrote it a year and a half ago. People are very interested in it. I think that, first of all, aging meat does dramatically change and improve its flavor. Dramatically. And in the past 3 months, one of the new things about Project Fire is that in addition to the studio or the outdoor field kitchen work, we went on the road and we visited a half a dozen restaurants and chefs who are the people that I take my inspiration from. One of them is Curtis Stone, who owns a restaurant called Gwen in L.A., and he did 2 rib steaks for us side by side. He did a Wagyu beef from Australia, and he did an 80-day aged Angus beef.
Wow.
And the flavors were absolutely extraordinary in both. But guess which one I preferred?
I'm guessing the first one.
The Wagyu.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
the Wagyu. That was like, man, hearing the heavens open and the angels sing Hosanna. But if you take a regular supermarket steak and then you get the steak that's been aged, 30 days, 40 days, and it has to be dry aged. I mean, that's important. Cryovac doesn't do it. You actually have to have that evaporation. You have to have the crusting on the outside. You have to have the enzyme activity. It's sort of like in that moment in The Wizard of Oz that goes from black and white to Technicolor.
I talked with Meathead Goldwyn last week from Amazing Ribs at MBBQA. I had also had an in-person sit-down with Jess Pryles, who had done a 3,500 word on dry aging, or a document on dry aging. And they both kind of echoed the same sentiments, and I wanted to get your take on it too. They said that certainly there's a tenderness increase if you're doing it into that 28 to 30-day mark, but after that 30-day mark, you have to somehow become accustomed or know that you want to like the flavor profiles that are going to change after 30 days. How do you compare what a normal steak would taste like versus one that maybe has been aged out 40, 45, or 50 days in a dry aging atmosphere?
Yeah, well, you start to get, it starts to get like old cheese, those kind of rich umami flavors, to cast them charitably. A certain funkiness, you get a certain funkiness with the hyper-aged beef. It's not necessarily a taste that, I think modern tastes are geared to like things young. Our wines now are drunk much younger than they would have been 50 years ago. Our cheeses tend to be eaten much younger than they would have been. And I think the same is true with steak. When I was in cooking school in Paris, in come game season, they had a process called faisandé to pheasant, which means you hung game sometimes until it literally got so rank it kind of fell off the hook you were hanging it on. And that was a flavor profile that 100 years ago people really cherished and prized. And I think today you taste it and you'd say it's disgusting.
Do you have a different cooking method when you do a steak that's been dry aged out 40, 50, 60, 70 days, or is it the same way whether you're buying it from the supermarket today or?
No, I know you were going to ask me that, and that's a really good question. Personally, what I would say is that I tend to use a slightly milder heat for those. The more aged the steak, the gentler the heat. So I'm not necessarily using a screaming hot fire. It's, I'd say maybe a medium hot fire.
Stephen, on your blog, you talk about the grass-fed beef 1 pound challenge. What is that?
Yeah. So this is something that was come up with by Strauss Foods, Strauss Meats, purveyors of premier purveyors of grass-fed. And in a nutshell, what they are challenging us to do is replace 1 pound of the meat that we eat each week with grass-fed beef. Now, the argument goes that, grass-fed, first of all, if it's done right, it's extremely flavorful. But it's also much healthier for the planet. In order to grain feed, you waste more energy, you waste more water. The cattle aren't as healthy. They also need to be treated with antibiotics. The whole grain-fed cattle raising thing is associated with an industrial process for raising meat that's really pretty unappetizing. So this initiative is to get you to introduce at least some grass-fed meat into your diet, and even if it's just a pound a week, if everybody in the United States did it, that would have an enormous impact on the environment in a positive way.
Stephen Raichlen joining me here on the show. So no grain whatsoever. It can't be grass-fed up until a certain point and then finished on grain?
So, if you were to be pure, it's pure grass-fed all the way through. And one thing about the Strauss brothers that is really good is they, not all grass-fed beef is equal. And a lot of grass-fed beef I've tasted by inexperienced people raising it, you completely understand why people switch to grain-fed. It's very lean, it's very dry, it's just not very luscious. But the Strauss brothers have really figured out how to do it, and they've taught their farmers how to do it. So it's really quite remarkable. I'm sort of an omnivore, and you probably know from my writing and from my blogs that I like trying a million different ways to do things, and I'm always changing things up. You're not going to find me finding one method and saying this is the only method you should use. It's even if something as simple as cooking a steak in the space of a year, I might give you 8 different methods for cooking a steak. Everything from reverse searing to cavemanning. That's just what makes life interesting for me. And so it is with meat. I know at home we try and eat grass-fed whenever we can. We only eat wild seafood. We only eat organic produce and organic chickens. We don't eat much pork at home, but when we do, it's we try and eat heirloom and heritage varieties. I've always believed that how your food is raised matters as much as how you grill it.
And the tour stop tomorrow is Coral Gables, correct?
It's actually, it's Books and Books in Miami. It's kind of a hometown book signing for me. I'll be driving in the morning. I'm in Fort Myers right now, and then I'll be going to be flying out the next morning to Austin.
All right, so Miami tomorrow, Austin after that, and on the third Tuesday of the month, you can find them right here on the Barbecue Central Show. Stephen, always appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
Hey, great talking to you. Thanks. You always do a great job, Greg.
Thank you, Stephen. There he is. Ready for book tour. Right there. Ready to go.
All
You're
guests
be in Miami?
via
Check
the
'em out.
Traeger Grills hotline.
Nothing better than
Yummy.
get props from Stephen Raichlen on doing a good job on the interview. If you're not in the YouTube section, you're missing out on the running conversation about plant-based burgers. I've had the Impossible Burger, and I think they're pretty freaking good for not being meat. I might get into that more in the second hour. Hey, Southside Market and Barbecue. Attention anyone who loves sausage and barbecue, which is probably everybody who listens to this show. So here's what you need to know. They're established in 1882. Southside is the oldest barbecue joint in Texas. They've been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. They're famous for the original beef sausage. Now, you might be going, what? Beef sausage? I thought sausage had pork in it. They got a coarse ground beef sausage in a natural pork casing. Plus, they have authentic Central Texas barbecue like briskets and ribs, all that stuff. All meats, including the prime brisket, slow smoked for many hours over real Texas post oak wood. They have nationwide shipping via the online store, southsidemarket.com. They ship fresh and smoked sausage nationwide. Shipping customers can choose to order now and ship later. Include a custom gift note, and mail multiple addresses without any additional charges. That means you can set up a whole bunch of different deliveries and not get tagged each and every time with additional charges. All shipped items are vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparation for the customer. Shipped with dry ice to ensure complete freshness upon arrival. All meats processed in the online or on-site USDA inspected facility. On-site meat markets for fresh and smoked products. Custom orders welcome. They got 2 restaurants for you to check out. The original one, Elgin, Texas, since 1882, and then Bastrop in 2014. Check them both out. Compare, contrast. Grocery distribution through Texas and many surrounding states, probably like Oklahoma. Here's the biggest deal of them all, 10% off coupon by using the code BBQ Central, all one word, lowercase. When you visit southsidemarket.com, put in your order, and it's good for anything. 10% off your entire online order with code BBQ Central. Memorial Day is coming. If you're looking for something new, a little outside of the box, if you're not from Central Texas, the beef sausage is the way to go. It's so good. It's not lobster sausage, but it is beef sausage. Really good. Check it out. All right, we're back with Steak Cook-Off Association chatter, kvetching, rumors, all that stuff. Stick around. Be right back.
Ready to get on the air? Call 216-220-0966. Now, let's get back to the LeBron James of barbecue talk. Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all of your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit amazon.com to purchase as well. Don't forget, these will not void any warranties, so don't fall for any of that crap. Cookinpellets.com, producing some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. Cookin Pellets, COOKIN, cookinpellets.com. The third Tuesday of the month brings a visit from one of the co-founders of the Steak Cook-Off Association. What happened since the last visit? What's happening over the next few weeks? All questions shall be revealed in this segment as we race the Traeger Grills hotline. And welcome back, Brett Gallaway, to the show. Brett, how are you, buddy?
Doing good. How are you doing, buddy?
Absolutely fabulous, Brett. Always appreciate you making time for the show. So let's go ahead and start right at the top 5. Certainly there's standings that us competitive people love to track week in, week out, month in, month out. So what is the top 5 of the SCA look like right now?
Well, we got Kendall Adair's in first place. He's up by 12 points. He's already got 84 this season, he's off to a great start. He might get, last year they set a record with, I think it's 207 points.
Wow.
So this guy's got a shot. Second place is Robert Perkins with 72. And then the guy that everyone here is coming, Johnny Joseph, he's the 3-time points champion. He's got 63, but he wasn't on the list about a month ago and has crept up to third already. He's on a bit of a roll. And then Casey Jones is in 4th out of Florida, and Chuck Edwards out of Louisiana is in 5th. So it's starting to be a tight race already, and we still got months to go.
What kind of a point separator is between 1 and 5 right now?
1 and 5, actually it's 30 points, but that's 3 events. Chuck has cooked probably 5 less events than the first Kendall has. So Kendall's very consistent, though. It's hard to knock him down.
What's the max score that you can get at a competition?
You can get 11 points.
11 points?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's 10 for first plus 1 for the, 1 attendance one. So it's 11 points total.
All right, so everybody that shows up gets 1 attendance point.
Yeah,
that's your participation award. There you go. There's your certificate, everybody.
Then
you got to go out.
Puppy we give out.
That's right. Then you got to go out and actually win and show that you're the better cook.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this before we dive into some of the stuff that we were corresponding about over the course of the week. Is anyone cooking on a pellet cooker that you know of? And if so, Is there any success that you are seeing at this point?
Yeah, there's guys cooking on pellet cookers. We've had a third place, I know, on a pellet cooker. I believe the gentleman said he won on a rec tech, but I haven't verified that yet. It was I did a little poll and he posted on there, so I need to contact him and find out. But that would be our first winner on a pellet grill.
Do you think that there is a future for pellet grills in the State Cook-Off Association, or eventually, or ultimately, are you going to need to have that, 6, 7, 800 degrees at the grill grate in order to really stand out and be competitive?
Well, I haven't tried all the pellet grills out there, but I know the new RecTech Bullseye, that thing gets hot. I've actually cooked steaks on it and got a great char on it. So
the one that looks like a kettle?
Yeah, it looks like a kettle. It's a pellet cooker. It gets probably 600, 650.
Yeah. Also, I heard that Justin Margus can throw that 50 feet in the air. That's an inside joke. Don't worry about it. Let's go ahead and play a Spotlight in the past, Spotlight in the future. So since the last time that we met, obviously there's been a number of SCA events. Are there 2 or 3 that stick out as kind of being those highlights of events?
Well, I think some of the upcoming events are pretty big. I mean, we were just in Australia. I mean, that was big. There's been a lot of great ones, but, there's some coming up. We're going to be in the Chicago area for the first time in May 25th at Red, White, and Blue Barbecue. That one's going to be good. Arizona's got their first one in Tempe on, June 2nd. And then June 2nd, PK Grills is having one. They usually draw 80 to 90 teams in Little Rock. And they've always required you to cook on a PK in the past. This year they say they'll take on any grill. So I think it's going to be a great event right down by the river there.
Is that where they're home based out of? Is PK's out of Little Rock?
Yeah, they're based out of Little Rock. And, they're close. They put on a great event. They give away some nice prizes. And it's a good one.
So in the past, if they had required you to cook on a PK grill, were they also offering grills for people that didn't have one to show up and cook on a PK grill?
Yeah, they'd do that. They had some grills waiting in case, or if a guy would contact us, I'd say, all right, I got a grill for you, and they would allow you to cook on one.
I bet. I'm gonna guess here, but I mean, wouldn't that seem from? I'm always thinking like the marketing guy because I'm a sales guy by profession. Sure. So if let's say Brett Gallaway wanted to cook in that PK grill cook-off, but he doesn't have a PK grill. And they say, hey, no problem. Come on down, Brett. We'll set you up with one, blah, blah, blah. You cook on it, you see how great that thing's. And all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, if you want to take that thing home, I'll give you the one-time SCA use stay cook-off discount. And then, you're walking. I bet do you know if they do something like that, a one-time use or a lightly used discount?
Yeah, slightly used, yes. Yeah, it was great marketing on Scott's behalf.
No doubt.
That actually has happened, and once the guys try them, they like the heat on them. They they hold the heat, and they're a popular grill for sure.
Last month, I was asking you about any Michigan updates as far as state cook-offs are concerned. Are there any other Michigan things going on? And again, it pains me to ask about anything that has to do with Michigan, being an Ohio guy, of course, but I like to cater to the fan of the Barbecue Central show. So anything that has changed in the last 4 weeks from a Michigan standpoint?
Nothing has changed, unfortunately. I'll be at Memphis at May this weekend, and I will make a call next week, see if I can't get that set up with that person, and if I can't, I will let you know so you can let them know on the air next week.
All right. Memphis in May, obviously that's a huge barbecue event. You have whole hog, you have shoulder, you have ribs, you have some people that are going for their 6th overall World Grand Championship. Some are looking for number 5, some are looking for number 3, some's looking for just 1 perhaps. What are you guys doing there? Are you just going to be kind of paling and chumming around? Is there going to be a State Cook-Off Association event there?
Well, there's not an event there, but a lot of our teams are competing there, and I'm actually going to compete I'm going to compete with Boar's Night Out. They've invited me to cook the beef category with them. So I'm going to cook beef, exotic, and seafood, and just have fun cooking. And then we've got a couple marketing opportunities that have arisen, so we're going to meet with those people there as well. It's going to be a great time.
Is there a lot of great networking opportunities if you're not a cook team or going to compete, but you're in the business? Is it worthwhile to get down there and see who's there you could be able to connect with from a business standpoint?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if necessarily the KCBS teams from the north, but far as Southern goes, and there's guys, every big name you can think of in the cooking world is there. And what I learned last year, it's not, there are some big parties. There are double-decker parties. There's all sorts of stuff. And the first day we hung out with different people and really didn't make a lot of those contacts. And then the next day, it seemed like we hung out with the right people and made some great contacts. And we've been invited to some neat things this year there, so we're really excited. And it's kind of like MBBQA a little bit, where you can really meet a lot of great people. It's worth going just to meet people.
Brett, let's talk a little bit about future growth plans for the Steak Cook-Off Association. What are you guys looking to do, and what's the process?
Okay. This year we didn't expect to go from 115 to over 200 where we're at now. I thought it might level out a bit, and we did a lot of training, but we're going to have to continue that for next year, not knowing what it's going to bring. I'm already adding new events that we didn't have last year. And so really it's just, for us, it's going to just be prepared for whatever comes. And we're going to try to control the growth a bit in certain areas if it does come more, just so we're not oversaturating areas. That's a big focus for next year.
Do you have a map up in the home office down there of the saturated areas and then the growth areas? And then in regards to the growth areas, are you making calls or trying to get in touch with people that would put those on in order to try and get more SCA events to those places?
Well, honestly, they're calling us at the moment for these new events. And so we just added, I think there may be 5 now in the Mid-Atlantic area, and we're talking with some people there about more in that region. It just seems once we have one, it takes off. And so, like, I seeded 2 in California this year. We had 1 last year, and I put 2 out there, and I'm hoping that'll help us grow that. It's a different market. They do a great job out there. I'm hoping we can grow in that area too.
But at the top of the show, I had talked about getting a number of emails over the last time that we had talked, asking about World Food Championship tie-in again. That's November 7th and 8th. So if we could just revisit that in a number of different sectors. First thing, how you qualify, and maybe we can kind of build in from there.
Kind of go from there.
Yep.
Okay. To qualify for the event, you need to either win an SCA event, any of our sanctioned events, or achieve 20 points in our points chase. Last year, 20 was kind of the bottom end of our qualifier to get in to our championship. So that was a number that we chose at that point. I think this year it's going to be much higher, but if they can get 20 SCA points, they'll qualify for World Food. Last year he had 30, I want to say it was 34 teams competed. I checked the website early this morning, and we had 38 already signed up.
Oh, wow.
So we've got room for, I think it's 120 teams, 60 on each day. We have 60 spaces each day. So it's going to be a much bigger event this year for, the steak category. What's
the entry fee?
It's $300. It's the same for every category at World Food.
Okay. And that's so if you get registered, you could technically qualify, but if you're also not taking the onus on your team or yourself to get registered for World Food Championships, you have the potential of being left out.
Correctly. Yeah. Once you qualify, the onus is on you to make sure you've filled everything out and signed up. And just signing up, you need to pay. You can't just sign up to hold a space, because they're going to sell out. There's no doubt. I'm very confident of that. And what's neat, a lot of our guys are used to competing in our system rather than competing in the kitchen. They're, used to cooking a steak, not used to cooking a steak Oscar with sides. Our guys can do that, but that's not their weekend, not what they do in competition regularly. So they're going to have a chance. We're going to give the first day, we're going to pay top 10 on both Thursday and Friday for that event. And then the top 5 each day are going to move into the World Foods Kitchen Arena and cook under the EAT methodology judge system, which is their judging program.
So you'll have one day of 60, a second day of 60, and then a top 5 out of the first, top 5 out of second, move into that top 10 in the state category.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And then those first 2 days are SCA judged events. So do you think that there is a potential snag for them? So now, they're cooking for the SCA rules that they've been accustomed to all year, and then all of a sudden they have to switch to EAT methodology. Do you think that there is a disadvantage for them at any point, or are they good enough to overcome, or they'll just adapt?
Well, who won World Food Championship this year?
There you go.
Lisa Glotney. She's an SCA member, probably competed in a dozen events last year, and we've got some very talented chefs, or, cooks, whatever you want to call them, but I think they can cook anything. It's just this kind of opened the opportunity for more teams to compete and, just a wider playing field.
If somebody wants to be an SCA judge, how do they become a judge, and then how do they get registered? Are there certain time frames they have to meet in order to get signed up for an event?
If they want to become a judge, you can go to steakcookoffs.com, which is our website. There's a tab for judging. We offer judging classes around the country. I think there's each of those. Well, we have one in Westmont. We have one in Tempe. I just booked one in West Virginia. So they're spread out around the country. So they can catch one near them. We don't quite have as many as KCBS. We don't classes, but there are probably another 15 the rest of the year scheduled already. And once they're certified, they can sign up for any event, but they need to register 90 days prior to the event is when it opens. That just keeps people from signing up, 6-8 months ahead and then forgetting, even though they get 3 emails. But it really, 90 days out is when we open them. We'll open the World Food Judging 90 days out. We'll let people know a couple weeks before that to remind them as well.
It's Brett Gallaway from the Steak Cook-Off Association. As he had mentioned, the website steakcookoffs.com. Get registered to be a judge and go ahead and have some fun, or just get out there and compete in an SCA event. And if you win or you finish top 20 or get the qualifying 20 points in the overall, you have an opportunity to get down to World Food Championships as well. Brett, always appreciate the time, and we will see you again next month.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
You got it. There he is, Brett Gallaway from the Steak Cook-Off Association. I mean, hey, how great would that
All
be?
guests appear via the Traeger Grills hotline.
Super exciting.
Yummy.
A lot of people getting into the Steak Cook-Off Association. It continues to grow each and every month, which is why we're having Brett on, recapping some of the highlighted events that have transpired since our last. Hitting that top 5 again, seeing how they're continuing to grow. And with that popularity, I mean, I think it's easy to get caught up into growing quicker than you can really afford and logistically be able to do, which is why he used that hot button term, controlled growth, which I think is very smart. And then if you're a World Food Championship fan and you want to take part in that, win an event or accumulate 20 points through the SCA scoring system, and then that registers you as well. And then you can sign up. Remember, just because you qualify doesn't mean you automatically get in. Then once you qualify, you have to register and pay. Otherwise, you'll be left out in the cold saying, hey, I qualify. Nobody wants to hear you crying. Do it right. All right, let me talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. 3 different sizes to choose from. You have the Jim Bowie, which is the biggest unit that they currently offer. Multiple racks of ribs. They actually have that secondary cooking rack item, so you can increase the capacity of that cooker as well. I love cooking chicken wings on it. The ribs are great. You can do a couple whole packers on there. Multiple pork butts. Super easy to use. Keep it full of pellets. Dial up the temperature, and away you go. Then you have the medium-sized version called the Daniel Boone. I have one of those as well. I have a Jim Bowie as well. You can probably do 3-4 pork butts in the Daniel Boone. If you're going to pan them right off the bat, it might be a little bit different of an operation, so you have to see how that works for you. Definitely 2-3 racks of ribs for sure, and I'm talking ribs in the St. Louis spare style. Multiple chicken wings, multiple atomic buffalo turds, you name it. Again, just as easy to use as the Jim Bowie. Keep it full of pellets, dial temperature, and away you go. And then If you're into camping or you like tailgating or you want something that's a little bit more mobile, the Davy Crockett is the unit that you're going to want to take some type of an investment or interest. This one packs up and goes with you wherever you're going to go. If you don't have access to a traditional plug outlet, you can use the 12-volt adapter right in your car or pickup or SUV or whatever you got. And then away you go. Now, here's the best part. You're not going to sacrifice a tremendous amount of capacity for the portability. If you kind of take pork butts and TP them up, you could probably get 2 or 3 in there. That could feed up to 100, 125 people, depending on what kind of appetites you are catering for. So you can bring the pellet-fired flavor with you as it relates to the Davy Crockett cooker. The Daniel Boone and the Jim Bowie, by the way, which is the biggest and second biggest items that they offer, also accommodate that pizza oven insert. I just used it 2 days ago. Made 5 different pizzas with a whole bunch of different toppings. Everybody made their own in the family. And that's the convenience, the fun, and flexibility that you have with that pizza oven insert. Tear the guts out of those cookers, drop the pizza oven insert on top of the firebox, set the temperature on the cooker, and then roughly double it. So if you're 350 degrees on the cooker, you're about 700 degrees on the stone. Adjust from there. Make it however you like. So fun, so incredible. We had such a good time on Sunday night that for Mother's Day, made pizzas for Mother's Day, that I immediately got on the text messaging system and shot Jason Baker a message up and said, dude, this pizza oven thing is the best. I love it. Unsolicited praise and thank you to Jason Baker for this incredible item. GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. We're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
Thanks again to Brett Gallaway for joining me. SteakCookoffs.com is the website to check results, top standings, top 10, top 20, or just the full list of standings. You know, I'm always down for like top 5, top 10 because that's the glamour. Anybody that got a score on the Cavs game by chance? I don't have it. I got a lot of email from people going, whoa, Cavs asked the bed the other night. Are you worried what team's going to show up and play? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, we've been to the finals like 3 years in a row or 4 years in a row, whatever it is. I will get worried in any series when we are at the elimination game for us or a closeout game where we are going to lose. Other than that, I'm not worried. Let's get to the closeout game first for me to worry. By the way, I don't think we were even considered to be able to beat the Indiana Pacers, so just from a Nationals perspective, the Cavs have had a successful season, whether people really want to admit it or not. Nobody gave us a chance this year with that team. We're trying. We're doing hashtag whatever it takes. That's the hashtag this year for the Cavs. All right, again, if you want to take part in a Steak Cook-Off Association's event, go to steakcookoffs.com. It's $250 or $300. Well, it's $300 because it's a World Food Championship. I believe it's $150 or $200 normally to enter an SCA event. That gets you 2 steaks. You have to bring your grill, your seasonings, all that stuff. But from a very basic sense, show up one day, cook, leave same day, be home. You could have $1,000 for a $200 entry fee. It's a pretty good return on investment. So we'll see Brett Gallaway again in a month's time to see how those great events that he had pimped out actually came about. Also, maybe get a recap of the Memphis in May. We'll see what happens. All right, we are going to be heading to the second hour here, so I'm going to refresh my libation and join you back here on the backside. You're listening to the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around, be right back.
This is Jimmy Burns from Malvern, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me! Fine, how you doing?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
Hey, welcome to the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, talking about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. We do it right here from Cleveland, Ohio. And I'm Greg Rempe. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, if you missed the first hour of the show or you heard a great segment interview that you really want to go back and listen to again, don't worry. The whole show's being podcasted or recorded right this very instant. So you always have the opportunity of going back. That's right. Last check, Cavs up by 6 or 7. That's good. Third quarter-ish. If you want to jump in, 216-220-0966. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. My email address still to come on the show a little bit later. Melissa Cookston from Yazoo's Delta Q, also from Memphis Barbecue Company, also Steak by Melissa. Lots to talk with her about, especially as it relates to the Memphis in May 2018 Barbecue World Championship, which is this weekend. Maybe you saw this. According to Fox13News.com, woman who killed husband may have served remains at a barbecue. An Indiana woman who injected her husband. Nothing funnier to a bunch of barbecue people than hearing a murder recital or murder report with barbecue in the title. Say, an Indiana woman who injected. Not only is Butcher's barbecue injections great for your briskets or pork butts, it's great for your husbands, too. An Indiana woman who injected her husband with a lethal dose of heroin before smothering him with a pillow may be responsible for 9 other deaths and is suspected of serving her lover's remains to unsuspecting neighbors at a barbecue. Let me get this right. This lady injected her husband, and obviously the love is running deep. Injected her husband with a lethal dose. That means he's going to die. Lethal dose of heroin. I can only surmise became agitated or impatient or didn't want to wait for that lethal dose of heroin to actually kill her husband that she must love dearly. And said, hey, forget this. I'm going to take this pillow that's right next to me and smother his ass. Forget about overdosing him on purpose with this heroin. Now I got to snuff him out with this pillow. Kelly M. Cochran, 34, was sentenced to 65 years in prison last month after admitting to killing her husband, Jason Cochran. But she was already serving a life sentence for killing and dismembering another lover, Chris Regan, who vanished in 2014, in the Indy Star reported. An upcoming documentary called Dead North, set to air on May 28th and May 29th, on Investigation Discovery, probes other possible murders that may be linked to Cochran. Cochran's family told investigators she may have killed as many as 9 people and buried their bodies throughout the Midwest. Her friends and family also told investigators the stomach-churning tale of how Cochran allegedly served Reagan's remains to her neighbors at a barbecue. Yikes! Iron River Police Chief Laura Frieso, who investigated Regan's disappearance, said she met Cochran and her husband during the probe. Court documents stated the investigator learned Cochran was having an affair with Regan, but the case went cold until Jason Cochran died in February of a suspected overdose. Later on, investigators found he was murdered by his wife. Cochran admitted she and her husband lured Regan inside their home and shot him, then dismembered his body before dumping his remains in the woods. Probably also used a chainsaw after dismembering poor Mr. Regan and used it to cut down some oak to char his or to smoke his remains for the neighbors. That's efficient thinking. Cochran said she and her husband made a pact to kill off anyone involved in their extramarital affairs. But Cochran said she was angry at her husband and killed him as revenge for murdering Regan. Court documents stated she was sentenced to life in prison in May 2017 for Regan's murder and sentenced on April 18th for murdering her husband. What kind of killing is going on here? This lady had an affair with Regan. Before the affair took place, the husband and wife had a pact that if anybody stepped outside of the marriage, they would have to go kill the person that they cheated on. I have a better idea, and as Cochran later figured out, why not just kill one or the other of you two?
Get that big stuff out of here.
What if the person you're luring into this death trap didn't understand the death pact that you guys had? What if they didn't know you were married? Poor Mr. Regan. Unless you knew she was married, Mr. Regan, which then you're kind of rolling the dice, I guess. Holy moly. Now she's pissed because she obviously liked Mr. Regan more than her husband, Mr. Cochran, and said, hey, Mr. Cochran, my husband, must have a heroin addiction. I'm going to shoot him up because I'm a nice wife. You know, my wife shoots me up with heroin all the time, just the right amount. That's why I'm able to keep this nice figure, nice and skinny with my eyes look like they're sunken in my head. It's called heroin chic. I achieve it very well. But my wife shoots me up with only the right amount of heroin. This lady said, screw it. I'm going to play like I'm the nice wife and shoot my husband up, but I'm going to give him a lethal dose, except for the fact she grew impatient while he was dying and smothered him with a pillow. Wow, that's great. I love it. Let's see. There was something else I wanted to talk to you about. Well, I don't think I'm going to have time. But would you eat a lab burger? We just talked about it a little bit ago. Would you eat a lab burger? Synthetic meat created from animal stem cells could be on the shelves by the end of the year, claims an expert. Lab-grown meats have been hailed as a solution to climate change and ending global hunger. That is, if you believe in climate change.
Get that big stuff out of here.
No one manufacturer claims synthetic burgers created using animal stem cells could be on sale sooner than we think. John Tarek, CEO of San Francisco-based Clean Meat, San Francisco-based Clean Meat firm JUST says lab-made sausages, chicken nuggets, and foie gras could be served in Asia and the U.S. before the end of 2018. And as I say at the beginning of each and every month, 2018 rapidly coming to a close. Tetrick told CNN that public perception and the sensory experience of the products remain considerable hurdles for the clean meat industry to overcome. Clean meat will be a complete fantasy if we cannot bring the full sensory experience to bear, he said, including color, texture, smell, and shelf life. Communications issues and regulatory issues also present considerable challenges to clean meat firms, he said in a separate interview with The Guardian. Other companies forecast that they're still a few years away from mass-marketed lab-grown meat products. Professor Mark Post, chief scientist officer of Mosa Meat, whose lab in the Netherlands produced the world's first cultured hamburger, told CNN regulatory approval process could delay samples being distributed to suppliers by years. But here's what we need to understand. While they're also talking about chicken patties and chicken parts and all of this other stuff, there is non-meat options like the Impossible Burger and what was the other one we were just talking about? The Impossible Burger. Hold on, let me go back up. Damn it. What is it? Oh, the Beyond Burger, the Impossible Burger. That's right. These are all current options. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, I did a news report that White Castle or Crystal Burger was taking on the Impossible Burger to offer in their thing. So real life, big money hamburger chains are buying into the non-meat burger option, or at least making it an offer. Michael Simons here in Cleveland, the B Spot, offers the Impossible Burger on their menu for $1 more than his triple beef blend. I've had it. If nobody told me that it wasn't beef, I wouldn't have given it a second thought. Not saying that the calories are better, or it's necessarily more healthy, but it's not meat. So if you don't like meat or you want to opt out of eating meat all the time, the Impossible Burger and the Beyond Burger are real-life available options for you to try right now. Try it right now. In fact, I might make a video of it. How about that? I also might make a video of me cooking them on my new Traeger Timberline 850. That's right, Traeger grills. Behind every great meal is a great grill, but not just any grill, a Traeger grill. And the Timberline is Traeger's most advanced grill yet. It allows you to grill, smoke, bake, roast, braise, and barbecue like a pro, no matter what your level. Thanks to the incredible wood-fired taste. Seriously, you don't know flavor till you're cooking with it. Traeger grills use all-natural pellets as fuel, so it's literally cooking with flavor. From lone slow-smoked ribs to a seared steak, even a baked apple pie. And by the way, if you think that's a bunch of BS, BBQ baked an apple pie on her Traeger Timberline just this past weekend. Traegers can handle it all, and the Traeger Timberline makes it even easier thanks to the Wi-Fi capability. You can check on your cooks, kick up the temperatures, set custom cooking cycles anytime, anywhere, all from your smartphone on the Traeger Grill app. In fact, I gotta go check out my brisket right now. Find one at your local Traeger dealer or check them out online at TraegerGrills.com. Want to beef up your barbecue game? Who doesn't? Traeger shop classes are going coast to coast, bringing barbecue knowledge and amazing wood-fired food everywhere they go. Taught by professional pitmasters, you'll take home all the skills you need to reach barbecue glory in your neighborhood or on your cul-de-sac. Find a shop class right near you today. Sign up at TraegerGrills.com/shop class. That's TraegerGrills.com/shop class. Or again, to check out the cooker line, both the Pro and the Timberline series, TraegerGrills.com. That's TraegerGrills.com. Looking forward to cooking on my Traeger this coming weekend. Very excited. Might have the Impossible and Beyond Burger Challenge, and I might use Bubba Burgers as well. That's my favorite beef frozen burger. Why not? Let's do this thing, right? Yeah. But Kinger, soy burgers, not the same thing. Impossible Burger, way different. All right, we are back with Melissa Cookston right after this. Stick around.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, Smoking with Smithfield committed cooks. Make sure to head to smokingwithsmithfield.com and report your first place wins to claim all of your prizes, both in the ribs and the pork categories. Smokingwithsmithfield.com. Have you registered to compete in the American Royal pork loin ancillary category. Have you? Smithfield just increased the prize purse to $6,000, Polly. Make sure you sign up on the American Royal website today, and don't forget to sign up for the Smithfield Classic, which will be in Richmond, Virginia on September 29th. So still a little bit to get out there, but don't get bumped out. Sign up now. To sign up, reach out to Jesse with Big Papa Smokers. Jesse, Jessie, Jesse at BigPapaSmokers.com. That's Jesse at BigPapaSmokers.com. We'll see you at the Smithfield Classic. All right, my guest in the second hour is a barbecue Hall of Famer. She is a cookbook author, restaurant owner, TV personality. Her team has won Memphis in May world title twice already, 2010, 2012, five-time winner of the hog category. This weekend, she's looking to add number 6 to the hog, 3 to the overall title, checking in with the show because she is perhaps the biggest single believer in the Barbecue Central show karma ever. Let's head to the Traeger Grills hotline and welcome back the pitmaster of Yazoo's Delta Q and friend of the show, Melissa Cookston. Melissa, hey.
Hello.
I said in the intro, Melissa, that you might be the biggest believer of the show karma. And just to put some perspective and clarification on this, we had this segment booked 1 year ago to ensure that this spot would be open so you could come in, get the juju. You don't mess around when it comes to Memphis in May and making sure all the ducks are in a row to give yourself the best shot at winning, correct?
That is correct. I'm just a little bit superstitious, and you're my guy.
Well, I appreciate being your guy, and I'm glad Pete doesn't take any offense to that as far as that's concerned. I'm your juju guy. He's the main squeeze, of course. Before we look ahead to this coming weekend, Melissa, let's go ahead and take a trip down memory lane for a moment. Back to that first Memphis in May overall win ever. Is that something that you think about from time to time? Is it just packed away and it's rarely thought about? And what do you recall from that day?
Not much. I think all wins are a little euphoric, but that one I was so surprised. It was, I don't know. I think everybody else was surprised too, but no one more so than myself. But I'm really that person that's always looking ahead. What can I do better? And I always try to be better tomorrow than I was today. So I always will cherish that moment, but I'm really always looking ahead.
Melissa Cookston joining me here on the show. So let's go ahead and talk about the 2018 rendition of Memphis in May, which is coming up this weekend. What kind of a prep have you been doing? Has the team been doing leading up to the event this coming weekend?
Well, as you know, I raise my own hogs, so it's been an all-year process. On Monday after Memphis in May last year, I bought 2 more hogs. So I've really been focused on the feeding and breeding of those hogs to get my litters ready for this year. So that's really what I've been focused on. And of course, this week has been a crazy week.
I'm trying to ask the right questions here because I think there's very few pitmasters that are probably doing what you're doing as it relates to the hog process here. And I certainly don't want to get into the weeds here for the rudimentary barbecue, but it's incredibly interesting. Can you take me back to when you decided that you wanted to get into or give it a try as far as making your own breed of hog that you were going to take to competition and try and win with?
Absolutely. In 2014, I had cooked the best hog I could cook. So, what do you do from there? I think you either retire or find a way to cook a better hog. So, I started doing some research online as to breeds of hog, and I knew that, it was going to require a lot of attention, a lot of effort. And once I found the breeds that I wanted to mix, I started looking at diet. I talked to, of course, geneticists, used a little bit of Mississippi common sense, and had a plan and did not know if that plan would work. It took me until 2017 to get a litter that I would take to Memphis in May. I had 1 litter to choose from and didn't know until I did my practice cook the week before Memphis in May if the theory in my head would work. So I was quite pleased when I did my practice cook and I took my first litter in Memphis in May last year.
How many hogs come in a litter? Is it a couple? Do you get 12 to choose from? I have no idea.
Yeah, well, the breeds that I'm breeding typically have small litters. I had 3 litters to choose from, and I had 26 piglets out of those 3 litters. So typically we get 8, 9 piglets out of a litter. So it's small litters.
So you go in, you look at all the little baby piglets and say, okay, I want this one, this one, this one, and then you take them. Do you take them home with you, or do you have like a raising area off site that you bring them up the way you want them and, feed them and finish them and all this other stuff?
If I brought them home with me, they would all have names and they would be sleeping in the bed, and I would not be able to do what I do. They're about an hour and 15 minutes away from my house. Since we had 3 litters to choose from, I actually have one litter that is the exact same as last year, and the other 2 litters were just a little bit different. I wanted to try something new this year. So I did a practice run last week, and I cooked 2 hogs, one from each of the different breed litters, to see which breed that I would be going with.
Mm-hmm.
And made a determination. And then once you make a determination what breed you're going with, then you choose the specific hogs that you'll be cooking for competition.
Are you unveiling which ones you're going to be using, or are you keeping that to the vest?
I am. I'm going in with the dark horse. I chose the brand new breed.
Really?
Yes, sir.
I remember how excited you were. It kind of blew my mind. You were talking. You were so ecstatic about like that white, creamy layer of fat that you want to use, and you're like, oh, this is exactly what we were shooting for, and you knew that this whole theory was panning out the way you wanted. So, is it like even a whiter thing of fat? Does it have nothing to do with fat? Is it like a meat thing now? What made you go with the newest round?
Has the exact same fat. The meat is so tender, and the meat is so flavorful. It's like a whole different. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's another level, and I don't know. I mean, it's like I'm a mad scientist in a lab or something. it's crazy, but I can't wait to see what happens next. The hog that we practiced on was just, it blew my mind. It was fantastic, and and these theories in my head work, but until you cook it, you don't know. So, I've got a great hog if I don't mess it up.
So you can, from a hog relationship, you can use this practice hog that you're talking about and know that the one that you're going to be cooking this coming weekend is going to be the exact same. And I guess it's a long-winded way of me saying, in barbecue competition, otherwise, one Wagyu brisket might vary quite substantially from the next Wagyu brisket, even if it's, let's just say, Snake River Farms for, sake of who you might be getting it from. But one could be, a little or a lot different from one to the next. Not the same when it comes to hogs?
Well, you got to realize I have a whole ham. Actually, I have 2 whole hams, 2 whole shoulders, and 2 whole loins on a hog to pull from. I'm cooking 3 hogs, so I'll have one for blind, and I can tear up all 3 hogs just to get a blind box if I want to. So I got a lot more meat than one brisket to pull from.
When you look at sanctioning bodies right now, Kansas City, Florida, just to name a few, IBCA, the flavors that are winning seem to have remained fairly similar by and large here over the last 3, 4, 5 years. Memphis in May is certainly a different monster. It's all pork all the time. There's a lot of the same teams that are showing up. There's obviously some young guns that are going to be coming in there as well, trying it out for the first time. From that flavor profile standpoint, do you think it's more or less the same kind of a flavor profile that you might be looking for? If you get your tenderness dialed in, obviously it's always a tenderness game first, but holding that being equal to everything else, are you always evolving a flavor profile, or are you going to stick with what has worked for you guys in the past?
I'm going to stick with, what I've always done in the past. It seems to have treated me well. I'm a little old school. I believe in true Southern barbecue. And, my flavor profile has always been very original because I developed it myself. I don't use anybody else's rubs and sauces. So it's unique. And, it's it's done really well for me. So I'm going to stick to that.
Melissa Cookston from Yazoo's Delta Q joining me here on the show, talking about the upcoming Memphis in May competition this weekend. Notching a third overall Memphis in May win this weekend, Melissa, would obviously put you in some fairly elite company, namely a Mike Mills from Apple City Barbecue, a 3-time winner, a Myron Mixon from Jack's Old South, I know an old buddy of yours, a 4-time winner, and then Chris Lilly of Big Bob Gibson's a 5-time winner. What would it mean to get that third overall, to kind of get in that company?
You know, I'm just so honored to ever be able to walk the stage at Memphis in May in any category that, you know, I just can't even wrap my head around being able to win the whole thing again. It really is a labor of love, and Memphis in May is, of course, the holy grail. And, you know, anytime you can have your name called there is such a great honor. And, you know, I don't get to compete in Memphis style barbecue contests anymore. You know, I'm there because I love it. And I really just can't even wrap my head about being able to win the whole thing anymore. So I'm going to go do what I do, work really hard, and pray a lot.
Do you want to just win hog first and then worry about overall after that? I mean, is that kind of the hurdles that you go through as a team?
I just want to be able to cook as good a hog as I can cook, and really that's all I can control. Everything else is out of my control. So really I just worry about my cook, and whatever happens after that happens.
From an entertainment standpoint, if you go to Memphis in May, and I've only heard the stories and seen all the videos and stuff, but it seems like it's a place that, you know, if you're a new team or you're looking to kind of connect with people, you could certainly find a lot of things to distract you to get you off your game. You're a seasoned vet. You've won it a couple different times. You've won hog category 5 times. What do you do when you get down there to, I guess, get whatever socializing it is that you might want to do, and maybe you don't want to do any, and you just go in and dial in automatically? Or do you have some things, because now you are who you are, you're Barbecue Hall of Fame, you've been on TV, best-selling author, all that stuff, where you have to do some type of a public-faced position before you can actually get into the cook? What's expected out of you this weekend?
You know, not a whole lot. Hog takes 24 hours to cook, and then, of course, you have prep time. And I have my friends from Smithfield coming in on Thursday. So, unfortunately, I think we're going to get some rain. I'm not supposed to say that R word. I should have just said the R word. So I do try to visit my friends that I only get to see once a year as much as possible. But, you know, the park is so big and there's so many people that it's really hard to get to do much visiting. We try to really get in early if we can. You know, some friends will come in. Well, I've got the Australian team came in last week, so I got to visit with them some. But really, we try to get that out of the way on Monday and Tuesday, because starting Wednesday, it's, you know, really game time. So there's not really a whole lot of socializing after that, because Friday, really, at noon, I'm putting my hogs on. So, you know, at that point, it's I don't really know what's going on outside my booth.
I can talk to pit masters that do other sanctioning body style events and say, hey, when you put a brisket on or when you put your pork, but what are you looking for? What temperature are you looking at? Hog is a whole different animal, not to use a bad pun, but are you just experienced at this point? You can look and see the color, or you know the temp, or maybe there's a certain smell or whatever. I remember the first time I met you in person at that original Kingsford Invitational. You told me the night before, if you show up tomorrow and you see the door open on my cooker, you know I've had a good cook. Of course, you summarily won that Invitational, 50 grand, blah, blah, blah. And that door was open, by the way, when I showed up in the morning. How do you know when that hog is done? Do you temp it at all at this point, or you just have that knowledge and that experience behind you to know at this time it better be like this, otherwise we're going to be in a world of hurt, or we're going to be in a world of good?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always using thermometers. I'm very OCD, so thermometers are always my friend. So at night, when I call putting the hog to bed, I'm sticking thermometers in there. I know what temperature, the internal temperature is at all times. from that point on. And, hogs hit stalls just like any other big meat. And when you cook your first hog, you panic because hog stalls last a lot longer than any other meat.
Yeah, right.
But, yeah. And, once you get through that stall, that internal temperature will rise pretty quickly. So, I've been cooking hogs for over 20 years now, and typically I know how long that stall is going to last and how long it'll take us to get to the internal temperature that we want where after that stall ends. So, really, it's really kind of autopilot for me at this point. But, you never know. Sometimes you have a stubborn hog that just doesn't, and you have to be able to adapt and overcome those circumstances. And that's just, with cooker temperature and knowing when to increase and back off on your cooker temperature if it's cooking too fast or cooking too slow. But, that all comes with experience.
So if you're doing 3 hogs, do you stagger start times? Because if you make it into finals, then you're going to use a different hog. You're not using the same one for a blind box that you would use for like a public appearance, correct?
I throw everything I have into preliminaries.
So all 3 will finish at the same time?
Well, blind box and on site is at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So, right. So all 3 will finish at the same time.
Melissa Cookston joining me here on the show. I obviously, you want to win, but are there teams that you're tracking right now that seem to be doing well in shoulder or ribs or other whole hog cooks that you always kind of keep an eye on to see how they're tracking during the course of the competition?
No, I just worry about what I'm doing. I quit a long time ago worrying about the Joneses.
Yeah, they can get you off the game, right?
I don't know. What I do and the work, we just have a 2-person team, so I don't have time to pay attention over the fence.
Melissa, do you mind if I keep you over for another segment? We can ask you a couple off-topic, non-Memphis and May questions.
Sure, I got a whole pot of coffee.
All right. Stay with me. Hold on 1 second. We're talking with Melissa Cookston, who's Delta Q, and a whole pot of coffee. And we'll get back to her in just 1 second. I'm going to talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, the curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies. Get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself, from award-winning rubs and sauces to American-made grills, smokers. Big Papa's has everything you need to be a better outdoor cook. Now, whether you're a backyard fanatic like me or a competition pro, Big Papa Smokers has something for you, whether it's their championship rubs and seasonings, like the popular flavors Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition circuit and in the backyard. Big Papa Smokers offers 13 perfectly balanced flavors that will transform ordinary meals into extraordinary. They also are the proud owner of the award-winning Granny's barbecue sauce. Looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everyone? Granny's traditional yet powerful flavors remind us why we fell in love with barbecue in the first place. You can find Granny's barbecue sauce and other top-rated barbecue sauces at BigPapaSmokers.com. And aside from their premium selection of rubs and sauces, they also offer the very best pellet, charcoal, and wood-fired cookers available today. If you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, you might want to check out the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. Big Papa's is the exclusive Mac dealer, and they even offer special packages that nobody else can offer. If you're not a fan of pellet smokers, don't worry about that. You can take a look at the Old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. And if you're a backyard barbecue enthusiast like me looking for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill from Texas is just what you need, built like tanks. If you're not sure what grill you need, can't go wrong with anything that is currently featured at BigPapaSmokers.com. They have something for every kind of backyard cook and budget. Check out their website and shop a full selection that is currently available at BigPapaSmokers.com. So here's what we know. Big Papa Smokers, the place to go for all things barbecue. Every product featured on the website, hand-selected to help you barbecue better. Boost your barbecue skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers, the #1 online barbecue store. Call them toll-free at 877-828-0727 or shop their website at BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BigPapaSmokers.com. More with Melissa Cookston coming up. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
This segment brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. And if you have Alexa or Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Fireboard.com. 6, right? Wow. All right, talking a little Memphis in May with the pitmaster of Yazoo's Delta Q, Melissa Cookston. Thanks for hanging with me through the break there, Melissa. So
Absolutely.
You're going to be showing up on site Wednesday? Is that tomorrow or Thursday, or when are you going to be on site?
Tomorrow.
All right. So, I mean, that's a long weekend, extended weekend, right?
Oh, yeah, we loaded in last weekend.
Oh, so you're all set up. You're just actually showing up now, tomorrow.
Well, not really. We just got our tent up tonight.
Oh, wow.
We were like the last person in the park to get our tent.
Let's go ahead and hit some rando barbecue topics. Well, I guess before I get to that, one last question. As the week starts to progress, do you see a lot of teams stopping through Memphis Barbecue Company or Steak to eat and kind of say hi real quick, or do you not see a lot of teams doing that?
Well, I'm at the park, but they give me a shout out on Facebook, or they text me, or they call me. But I get a lot of support and love from my friend Jess.
You are a barbecue Hall of Famer, and somehow or another, no names please, I got my hand on a list of, I guess, what is the final nomination list. So 3 of these people will eventually get into or will be the 2018 class for the Barbecue Hall of Fame. You have Tootsie from Snows. You have Tuffy Stone, Jamie Geer, Columbus Hill, Karen Putman, Rodney Scott, C.B. Stubblefield, Helen Turner, Charlie Burgos. As you hear that name and being a Hall of Famer yourself, obviously there's some type of consternation that somebody has to go through to pare down that list into just 3 people. As you kind of survey that list, who sticks out to you? And obviously everybody's great. I mean, we get all that, but who cares? This is a show. We want opinions. Are there 3 people that stick out to you the most that should be a 2018 inductee?
Well, I nominated one of those people. So there's one.
I know who it wasn't. Me. What do I got to do? Pay you people off or what?
You don't know that I didn't nominate you.
You did?
You think those are all the people that were nominated? Absolutely not.
Do you know how many people are nominated? Is it like a list of hundreds?
Oh, I'm sure.
Interesting.
It may be thousands. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get a full list. I just get the list. How did you get that list, by the way? This would be top secret.
Melissa, rule number 1 of the show: no names, please. Come on, you know that. But my finger's on the pulse. I think we've firmly. So what you're saying is I have definitely executed.
You didn't get it from me.
Oh, no. Of course not.
You didn't get it from me.
I didn't get it from you. No. I mean, who knows where I got it? It's the internet, right? I mean, you can get anything any way you want.
Yeah.
So, I look at the list. Maybe this is easier to start this way. I see Tootsie should absolutely be in. She should have been in probably 20 years ago. And then, so I kind of knew Charlie, but he's like the Rendezvous barbecue guy, so I didn't really know him originally. But I don't know Columbus Hill, and I don't know Karen Putman. So, like, who are they? Can you educate me on them by chance, or are you not overly familiar?
I've only ever met 2 people on that list.
Okay. I know who they are, too. Tuffy Stone and Jamie Geer, right?
Correct.
I knew it! I should be in the Hall of Fame. Damn it!
You are so smart.
Damn it. Well, so I think Tootsie should be in for sure. I think Tuffy Stone's probably a deadlock this year. And also a lot of people thought he should have been in previously. Boy, and then it gets really hard for me. I mean, Jamie Geer is a prolific pit maker. A lot of the top teams use his pits. He's actually a really great cook. Won Houston Livestock and Rodeo this year, so he's certainly accomplished on both ends there. Charlie with Rendezvous, everybody knows that. And then you got Stubbs. And that and of course, Rodney Scott. I mean, there's probably some type of kindred spirit with you and the whole hog thing with Rodney. Have you ever had his whole hog?
I have not.
So, like, if I'm picking Tootsie and Tuffy, would you pick another name out of there that you think would be good? I mean, certainly all these people might get in at some point, but I assume this is kind of a debate that people have with Major League Baseball and football people.
Well, you're picking those two?
Yeah.
Well, what if I wanted to pick those two?
All right. Okay. You pick two, and I'll pick the last one.
Okay.
All right. So you go ahead first.
Okay. Am I picking those two? Or I pick those?
Oh
two?
no, you pick whoever you want.
Okay. If I have to pick the last one, if you're picking those two, and I have to pick the last one, I'll pick James.
You pick Jamie.
But let me just say this. Let me say this about the Hall of Fame.
Please.
The Hall of Fame, I don't think should just the Hall of Fame. Pat Burke and I were having this discussion, and anybody that knows me knows the respect that I have for Pat Burke. Pat was one of the first competitors that I ever witnessed in competition, and I have spent some time with Mr. Burke, and I have the utmost respect for him.
Yeah.
And this is his philosophy on the Hall of Fame. It's not about necessarily what you have accomplished, although that is a big part of it, but it's also about the type of person that you are. And I do agree with that. It's about what you get back to barbecue, not necessarily monetarily, but if you are genuinely what we like to say in our industry, one of the good guys, and you give back your knowledge and you give your time to the newcomers to our industry, no matter what category you fit in, and the depth that you have in barbecue. How many boxes can you check? If you are, in 5 of those boxes that we check, that's important to me because, some of these people may start off in, as a TV personality or whatnot, but then they go to restaurateur and then they go to author and then they go to competitor and then, and then they just, everybody knows barbecue's in your blood and, they just evolve into all these different aspects. I mean, to me, that's important. Don't just stick to one little thing. And, I took a lot of that very seriously in my business. I was just from the restaurant business. And, it really, to me, what kind of person. And that when I was reading the bios, it was important to me. I really fished those pieces out, the person that they were. And I'm glad that was included in a lot of the bios when I voted.
Melissa Cookston joining me here on the show. I could just go on and on about the Hall of Fame and thoughts and this and that, but no reason to bore everybody with it. So let's talk a little bit about the business of barbecue, and certainly you're doing it a number of different ways. You have, obviously, the Memphis Barbecue Company. How have you found that here over you opened up, you hit gangbusters, I believe you have multiple locations at this point with Memphis Barbecue Company. And, I'm just wondering, how does the business of barbecue find you in 2018? Are you still as happy and as excited about it as you were when you opened?
How much fun is that? I used to be proud that I cooked 2,000 pounds of barbecue a year in competition. Now I cook 4 tons of pork a week.
4 tons?
Yeah,
wow.
In one restaurant.
Wow.
I get to play with it every day, all the time. I just get to barbecue all the time. That's fun.
The steak.
I mean, I have cookers rolling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So
I mean, that's the utopian job.
And I do want to point out, because I think that a lot of the restaurateurs that, were on the circuit quite a bit. I mean, obviously you used to compete quite a bit more than you currently do, which I'm guessing is certainly some by choice, but you have other responsibilities, namely restaurants, in order to run and make sure that that business side is being handled, and that doesn't afford you a tremendous amount of free time to get back out on the circuit or whatever. But you're competing every day. You're in food every day. So if somebody doesn't see you on the competition circuit anymore, shouldn't be chalked up to they're just not out there anymore. So you should be discounted by any point. If anything else, you shouldn't be overlooked at all, because you are in it every single day, cooking every single day, competing every single day.
I'm practicing every day.
Yeah. With 4 tons of pork, by the way. Let's talk about the steak by Melissa. And I kind of am fascinated, just to give you a quick backstory. So my oldest plays competitive volleyball at national level, JO volleyball. And when it's just her and I, when we travel around, and usually it's somewhere Mississippi and then east, when it's just her and I, we travel and try and find like the high-end steakhouse in whatever city we're in at that point in the country, and then review. And we always get ribeye steaks, and we always get it cooked the same way, and then we go ahead and give our own reviews to each other, and it's kind of like a dad-daughter bonding moment. What do you try to execute in your steak restaurant? What cuts are you using? What grades are you using? Are you trying to tap a certain market or a certain affluence? What's the whole setup there?
Well, I came from the Mississippi Delta, and in the Delta, there are a lot of what we term Delta steakhouses. And they are very casual, but they have very good food. In the demographic that I'm in, unfortunately, I can't afford to serve prime beef.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not feasible. So we do serve a high choice grade, and we serve very, very good food. It is a very casual atmosphere. I have a lot of restored wood and steel in the building, so it's a very masculine feel, but it's very comfortable. And I put a little twist on everything on the menu. I have things like calamari with orange chipotle glaze, and just things that you just don't normally get. But the steaks are grilled over a wood-fired grill, and they are seasoned very well with a grill and shake that is my recipe. And we give you a really good steak, and it comes with 2 sides, so everything's not a la carte. And we give you good service in a casual atmosphere. And that's really what I wanted to emulate, was that Delta-style steakhouse. So, if you're out hunting and you want to come in and get you a good steak, after lunch, before dinner, then feel free to come on in.
I just read an article the other day, or I think I actually talked about it on the show last week, where there is a systematic behavior across steakhouses in the country where, for whatever reason, the people that are working there that are actually cooking the steaks have decided to get away from thermometers and go by the old poke test. And what we've created now is steakhouses purposely undercooking your steak because they can always bring it up a little bit. Of course, when you overshoot, you're at a throw-out situation. Nobody wants to do that. But it seems to become a practice of undercooking a steak. So if you order medium rare, it's definitely going to come out rare, if not a little bit more underdone than rare, like blue or whatever the hell that is. Do you guys use do you guys use thermometers and try and, my philosophy was, if I'm going to order a steak and I say medium rare or medium, I want it in that 135 or 145 range. I can do that at my house at a restaurant. I think by and large, you should be able to execute that. Is that a similar mindset that you guys have?
If my grill cooks do not have a thermometer in their hands, they are in big trouble, and Mama Melissa will come through and pop them in the back of the head.
Really? I mean, do you find that, like, if you go eat, I don't know if you're a steak eater at restaurants otherwise, but I mean, I can almost guarantee if my wife and I decide to go out somewhere, and we rarely go out for steak, otherwise, it's just me and my daughter doing that fun thing for volleyball, but I can almost always count on that steak being at least one stage on the underdone side, and it's kind of frustrating.
It is frustrating, and I agree. And, I don't care how good you are, how long you've been grilling, you're going to miss it. I don't care if it, if it's one time out of 20, that's one time out of 20. And that's one too many. So guess what? A thermometer is right 20 times out of 20. And that, my friend, is perfection.
That's right.
And I love perfection.
Melissa, from a competing standpoint, I mean, do you miss getting out, 15 or 20 times during the course of the year, or that was just the stage, and you did obviously very well when you were doing competition stuff, and now it's all about the business. Do a little Memphis in May here, and it's fun. What's your thought on competing? Maybe not as much.
We are doing so many fun things now. I'm developing recipes. We're another cookbook. We've got trips planned. I mean, how much fun is that to travel the world and eat food and copious amounts of meat over flames? And I mean, I feel like that was a part of my life, and now I'm to a different part of my life, and this birthday will be a big birthday, and I'm not as young as I used to be, and I don't know, pulling that trailer up and down the road just doesn't quite have the appeal that it used to.
Oh,
but cooking copious amounts of meat all over the world does.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
This coming weekend, Yazoo's Delta Q will be looking to notch the 3rd overall Memphis in May World Championship win and a 6th hog. And as I always say each and every time she comes on, since she was here on a Tuesday, it's pretty much a deadlock. So, you just got to show up. You and Pete got to show up, Melissa, and then collect your prizes, and away we go. If you win, we come and reconvene next Tuesday to talk about the big win.
I don't know.
I mean, it's going to happen. I appreciate the humbleness that you're showing here to the Centralites, but I mean, we all know it's going to happen, so it'll be great.
Yeah. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my best.
No doubt.
That's somebody else.
I'll be very anxious to see how that hog treats you. So good luck to you. Pass my good luck to Pete, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You got it. There she is, Melissa Cookston. Yazoo's Delta Q. Too humble. Come on. You know it. I know it. Of course. Why would she go ahead and call her shot?
Via the Traeger Grills
Not like
hotline.
that. Not like that. Head down.
Yummy.
Keep moving. I'm going to do my work. We're going to cook the best hog that we can, and we're going to see where that takes us. I mean, is anybody else incredibly fascinated with the fact that she has gone out and basically invented the Yazoo's Delta breed of competition hog? Damn it, that was the question I was going to ask. Crap. Is that a business revenue stream that she's going to get into, or is she doing it also? Is she developing hogs for other people or other competition teams, or is she selling her hog? Can you sell your hogs for a premium price? Oh, man, I can't believe it. I had that right down there in my outline to ask about that. The business of breeding hogs, not only for you but for others. Wow, I mean, people have to be asking. She's going for her 6th overall hog win. You kidding me? Let's see how it plays out this weekend in Memphis in May. She's got a great shot. She was just on this show, for crying out loud, so you know the karma attaches. Booked a year in advance, by the way. Superstitious? Maybe. Smart? Yes. By the way, she said it. A thermometer is right 20 out of 20 times. Cook Shack manufactures smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of experience. Whether you barbecue in the backyard, on the competition circuit, or in a 5-star dining facility, Cook Shack has a unit that will do the job. And with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and wood chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, smoke and grilling 101s, and a video cooking classroom. Check out their website at cookshack.com or follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. Get advice or share your passion for barbecue on the World Class Barbecue Forum. Cook Shack pellet-fired smokers are the choice of champions because they were designed by a champion, Ed Fast Eddie Morin. The FEC 100, PG 1000, always customer favorites. PG 1000 can double as a smoker and a grill. Low and slow, hot and fast, the pellet grill line gives you the most for your money. Cook Shack Residential Electric Smokers, the #1 smoker in the industry. High quality means high durability and versatility. Anything you can cook in your oven, you can make in a Cook Shack. Passion and dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing, with quality always being at the forefront. Get the best in barbecue since 1962. Call 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698, or visit the website cookshack.com. Let's wrap it up. Stick around. Be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
Hey, the National Barbecue News, dedicated to all things barbecue. Their goal to introduce new people to the barbecue world while keeping the barbecue enthusiast and professional informed on all current happenings and around the barbecue nation. Obtaining this goal by offering timely news stories, new product reviews, barbecue event calendars, and unique recipes inside their printed products, website, social media pages, and email newsletters. Subscribe now by visiting barbecuenews.com. That's BARBECUE, barbecuenews.com. That's barbecuenews.com. Man, that's great. Barbecue News. They've been around for like 50 years. I think, and I have seen barbecue publications come and go. But Cal Phelps and the gang out there are continuing to change with the times and making sure that their staff is offering you the great barbecue knowledge that you kind of crave and are hoping for. That website again, barbecuenews.com. So thanks to Melissa Cookston again for coming on. She'll be heading to Memphis in May, or will be on site tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly how long of a drive that is, maybe a couple hours or so, depending on where she's at in Memphis versus where the actual location is. Rain is being called for again. I mean, has there ever been a Memphis in May where the rain has not come in droves and the muddy waters have arisen and people are like surfing in on the mud to collect their first place awards? Wow. Well, we'll see how it turns out for her custom hog, that's for sure. Anxious to see how that works out. And by the way, if she wins, she'll be in next Tuesday, whether she knows it or not, to recap. She has the karma full go. Good luck on the hog. Good luck on the overall, Melissa and Pete. We'll see how it goes. All the way back in the first hour, we talked with Stephen Raichlen. He's getting ready to start his national book tour in support of Project Fire. Tomorrow it's Miami, then he gets on a plane, and his second stop will be in Austin, Texas. So, hey, dudes from Best Barbecue, make sure that you find where Stephen Raichlen is going to be and visit him and tell him I sent you. Yanni and Stover, get on that. Get a book from him, have him sign it, send that book to me. I will countersign it, send it back to you. It'll be great. After Stephen Raichlen, we talked with Brett Gallaway from the Steak Cook-Off Association, recap some events that took place in Australia over the past month, and also looked ahead at some of the bigger events that will be taking place. Also recap the World Food Championships, how you qualify, how you have to make sure that you register and pay in order to get down there when you get your spot, which can be through winning an SCA event or accumulating 20 SCA points. And then in the second hour, Melissa Cookston, who's Delta Q, Memphis Barbecue Company, and Steak by Melissa. Great catching up with her. She's got the mojo, and we'll see how it works out for her at Memphis in May this coming weekend. If you are going to be at Memphis in May, take a picture, send it to me. We'll get it up on the Facebook page and promote where you're at, give you a shout out, and would love to get your emails and takes on the whole event and how it went down on your side of the stick. Until next Tuesday, we have a jam-packed show, September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Good night now.